I thought I was dead. So I saw a light, I saw an image, I saw a face. I didn't know what it was, and there was this beam of light coming down here. All of my family and friends along this tunnel of light, and they're all calling my name, and I'm like, fuck, this is crazy.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. This is Not For Radio. We are your hosts, Dunc and Hi, Jay Reeve. Good to have you with us. Caution, this podcast will contain some swearing and a bloke that's had a hell of a lot of smack.
I have been an unashamed fan, and you'll probably pick up on that during the interview, of this man for the best part of 2 decades. It was absolutely, I mean, we've kind of kicked it down the road a little bit. I mucked up a couple of dates, which is blowing out the interview times. Surprise, surprise, completely out of character. But we finally locked him in, and it was a fucking treat. Couple of things had to hit the cutting room floor on reflection, and rightly so. Just to protect some people that he cares about in his life. He got very comfortable with us. He let out a story, which is fucking wild. And as a result of that, we had to sort of go back through and pull a couple of pieces out. But this is just skimming a little bit of the cream off the top. She's fucking full fat, mate. This is silver top all the way through.
Jay's going to give a good intro in a couple of moments, give you a bit of background about who today's guest is. I want to say massive thanks to Jim Beam for jumping on board for this one, the world's #1 bourbon and New Zealand's #1 spirit. Best enjoyed together since 1795. Also, as well, for those that haven't listened to an episode for a while, or maybe you're new to the podcast, welcome. We have the opportunity for you to become Sniper Elite, the top brass, get extra episodes every single week, unlock 270 episodes. There's a link in the description of this episode where you can find yourself, punch on through there, and then if you listen to the last few Monday, Tuesday episodes, you'll find out how you can win a PlayStation 5 with the Ghost of Yote, with one of the developers who has signed the actual game as well. Bloody nice bit of kit.
Very sick.
Do the draw for that tomorrow on the show.
Shall we get into it?
Yeah, mate, she's all yours.
Our guest today is Milan Borich, frontman, songwriter, and one of the defining voices in New Zealand rock. He's best known for leading Pluto, whose album Pipeline Under the Ocean went double platinum and gave us the TUI award-winning anthem Long White Cross. But behind the music lies a far deeper, untold story. Addiction, personal fall, survival, and of course redemption. Milan grew up in South Auckland. As the child of Croatian immigrants, he's battled through violence, bullying, a life-threatening injury at 14, the pull of heroin whilst in London, the collapse of his marriage and band, life in LA, hiding behind doors of burlesque bars and pizzerias, and now sobriety, Ju Jitsu, fatherhood, and a rebuild. Today, for the first time outside of his band, he'll share, and we get to hear, that raw cinematic journey. And later this year, Pluto reunites in Auckland and reissues Pipeline on vinyl with previously unreleased tracks. Milan, welcome to Not For Radio.
My name is John. I'm listening from the UK, and this is Not For Fucking Radio. Fucking no.
A good place to start is, I reckon, like, for the most part, people in the industry will know bits and pieces of your story, but it's almost like, for me anyway, it was like I was trying to put together a jigsaw puzzle but didn't quite have all the pieces, so it'd be really interesting to rip through everything today. Like, I'm super excited about this chat. But I guess the question is, why now?
Oh, why now? Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
Shoehorned into it by Jed Marnie, the prick of a man.
I mean, slightly that. No, not at all. No. I think it's just the lifelong kind of 25-year long secret it kind of turns into a bit of a poison inside, and holding on to that story and that secret. I mean, it wasn't a secret to the people that I knew and loved me and close to me, but it was a secret to everyone else, and for me to hide that for so long, it just started to get a little bit toxic inside, and so I just felt like it was time to offload the truth, and to be done with keeping it inside.
So, born to Croat parents, hence the incredible. You built for fashion, built for music, just with your names. What was it like early doors being here in New Zealand? Because there is a massive Croatian community, and this is like people that you wouldn't even associate with it. Frano Bodica, like one of those guys you just assumed was like a massive Pacific Island legend who played rugby league. He's Delhi. Like he's like that's and it was a hard working class of human that came over here, just like the Pacific Island community when they first came over here. What was primary school like for you?
For me, because I was brought up in South Auckland, so not typically out west, which most delis are you know.
It's a stronghold.
Yeah. All the orchardists, but so no, out down south. It was a little different, and you know, we were called squareheads, and it was you know, being a kind of a deli wasn't popular as much as you would think, but yeah, so it was a little different and a little more difficult, but generally, I mean, I spoke also Croatian or Serbo-Croatian, and so I had a bit of pinched English, so I had to go to speech and drama, so that was a little bit of a hindrance at school, but you know, I love being a deli. I'm a very proud deli. So
how did you deal with that bullying?
With the bullying?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because you could kick their fucking ass now because you're a black belt.
Now I can. Back then I could not. No, I didn't deal with it very well. Like it was slightly. It was frightening to say the least, you know, like because I'd be walking home through Papakura going to Park State Road past Park State School, and I went to St. Mary's, which was a Catholic primary, and we wore a green uniform, and so I used to get bullied hard for that, and then just got beaten up pretty much on the regular, and then one day I thought, okay, this time I'll stand up to someone, and I did. Didn't work out too well, but
did you get any good shots in?
I did. I got a couple in, and then he tripped me up, put me to the ground, and just started pounding on my head and it was diabolical. But you know, it was good to actually finally stand up because I just had enough. You know? But yeah.
Were you siblings, friends, community mates that would hang out with you, school friends that would sort of have your back, or is it just like as soon as trouble would roll up, they'd be like, fucking acceptable losses, sorry mate, Milan, you're on your own, I'm out of here?
No, I mean generally they would be going on a different bus. I had a separate bus going home to Park State Road, and my brothers were a bit older than me, so they weren't actually around that much. Even when I went to Roseville College, they weren't around. Tony was, but Leon was gone. So I had no friends backing me up at the time. It was me alone. Actually, I got off alone at that bus stop and then walked past an entire school that just hated me.
So, well, I mean, and for your parents, like obviously they're getting away from some shit that they didn't want to bring you up in. They're basically taking you out of a war zone into a war zone.
Well, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, they got out a little earlier than that for sure. Like mum especially got out, and dad got out earlier. But my uncle, my mum's brother, he escaped because he was married to a Serbian wife, and so they were half caste and they were like ostracized from the community over in Makaska. So he fled, and so we got to see a lot of that pain that came over. But you know, I mean, it wasn't totally awful for me growing up. It was pretty idyllic on the farm. I mean, I did have a pretty brutal grandmother. My baba Katica was quite stern. You know, she grew up in just after she was there when the Ottoman Empire was kind of crumbling around Serbia and Bosnia. And then she lived through World War II, and so she had to deal with the Nazis, and she also had to deal with the partisans. So you had the partisans and the Ustaše. So the Ustaše were the fascist right-wing Croatians, and they were like sided with the Nazis. And then you had the partisans, which were the rebellion, you know. And so half of my family were that side, half of my family were that side. And so she had to deal with that dichotomy. And there's a great story of her getting Baba Lovre, who was my uncle, my mum's brother, and my dida, my grandfather, Clema. She got him and my uncle to take a boat out full of olive oil just to row up to an Italian warship, and then transfer and give them olive oil so that they can take the guns for the partisans. And he had no idea. And he was just like, he thought he was just going to take some oil, get some cash, you know, but no, they nearly got killed. They nearly got like shot. And he was like, no, we got olive oil. We got olive oil. And so they gave him olive oil, and then they gave them the guns. And then he went back to my Baba Katica, and he just said, if you ever do that again, I'm out, you know, like, but so she was quite a
fucking hard lady,
colourful character.
Didn't have a lot of time for any sort of shit getting slung her way.
No,
because of the life she had growing up.
Well, dude, she had to clean up her niece's brains off the table once because the niece was dating a Nazi general, and she was a double spy, and then the person that she was in love with. This is a true story. Like across from each other. And then he found out she was a double spy and just pulled out his Lucas, went pop, and just shot her brains out. And then my bubba had to just clean up the mess, keep the dinner going, and then sort it out.
Oh my.
Yeah.
So when you think about things like we see stuff like that in the movies, and the reason why it's in movies is because that fucking happened to someone somewhere. And that's and this is the degree of separation now. Now we are 2-3 degrees of separation away from that actually happening.
Yeah.
Fuck, that must, and that you can't unsee that shit and it not have an impact on how you see the rest of everything.
Absolutely. Yep.
Like I literally feel like I've been born with a 4-leaf clover jammed in my ass, fucking rabbit foot down my throat. Like I'm the luckiest, genuinely surprised. I've said it before that I haven't won lotto. Like I'm shocked when I don't. I'm like, what fuck? There's a blip. There's a rip in the matrix here. What the fuck? As soon as it goes past 15 mil, I'm like, someone's mucked up at the lotto place and I didn't win this week. This is fucking awkward. But like all of that stuff perpetually gets handed on and handed on and handed on and handed on, and eventually it gets to a point where I guess there needs to be. I mean, you're bottled full of this. Like you've carried it on and on and on and on and on.
Trauma,
and then it eventually pops out. And before we get to that part, there was something that went fucking horrendously wrong for you. You just get out of the bullying, the nasty shit, getting belted when you go past all this other school kids, and then 13, 14 years old, it almost fucking completely goes lights out for you.
Yep. Yeah, it was a remarkable event. It was actually on the morning of my 14th birthday. So,
Happy birthday.
We're like fucking running opposite cutters here, eh? You need to hang out with me a bit more, get a little bit of this luck.
My father thought I was very accident prone. I think he was correct. I was extremely accident prone. Although I was also quite a daredevil, and I like to put myself into bad spots, which I did on my 14th birthday. So we would go to Waikowal Bay up in the Coromandel and go surfing there as a child and camping. And so I would hang out with my friend from Wellington, Matt, and there was no surf on my birthday. So we're like, okay, let's go for a hike. So we went out for a hike and we were walking up the river. Or the stream, I don't know how big it was. It seemed big when I was 14. So we're walking through Coromandel Stream up to this waterfall, and we found this waterfall, and it was like 16 meters, about 3 stories high. And we're like, okay, let's climb it, and we'll go see where the water comes from. And so we climbed it, and we walked to a waterhole, had a swim. My shoes were wet. It was all good. But prior to this, on the waterfall, I was hanging off it with like a disposable camera, taking photos like this, hanging from like a little ledge, going. And I was like, "Oh, wicked, yeah, cool." And then walked to the waterhole, had a swim, came back, and the 3 guys that I was with, including Matt, they were smart enough that they didn't go along the edge of the waterfall. They went around the back of the waterfall and down, the side of the cliff. And I was like, nah, sweet, I'm just going to walk across the edge of it. And so I walked right across the edge looking down, and then I think my shoe just came off because it was wet, and I collapsed, slipped, and knocked myself out on the rocks, and then fell down the waterfall, bounced off a tree, branch went through my leg, shattered a kneecap, crushed a vertebrae, had head trauma, fell into a crevice, or whatever you call it, basically a pit. And I was down this pit, and I was out. I was pretty much, I thought I was dead. So I saw a light, I saw an image, I saw a face. I didn't know what it was. And there was this beam of light coming down here. All of my family and friends along this tunnel of light, and they're all calling my name. And I'm like, fuck, this is crazy. And then I was like in this dream going, oh, I'm dreaming. No, I'm dreaming. No, it's fine. I'm asleep. I'm dreaming. I'm waking up. I'm at the beach. I'll wake up soon. It's my birthday. And I was like, oh no, wait a minute. I already woke up. Oh, wait a minute. I went for a hike. Fuck, I fell off the waterfall. And then at that moment, I think I came to, clambered out of this pit.
With like a shit, you're like dragging your leg up.
I climbed. Matt saw me. He just saw me like an ape climbing out, and I was hysterically blind. So the doctor, you get this thing called hysterical blindness. I think skydivers get it, where the pupils dilate and get massive. So I couldn't see anything, and I just and just climbed out, and then started walking or running, and then collapsed, and then I could see, and then Matt came to me, and I was just covered in blood. Just freaking out, going, I'm gonna die, I want my dad, I want my mum, and it was,
You already had died.
already had no idea. I thought I was going. I just thought it was the end, and he stayed with me, and the two other guys ran back to the beach to get my parents, and my dad, rest in peace. He was incredible. He ran like 2Ks up that river to find me, and then he found me and he put me on his shoulders. And he walked me out, got me in a car, and drove me to Thames Hospital. And the doctor said I was just extremely lucky to be alive. And if I didn't knock myself out before I fell down that waterfall, I would have been stiff and rigid. And
Yeah.
So did you hit the water at the bottom?
no, I just hit rock.
All rocks.
Yeah.
That one breaks
Right.
it basically. So it looks like if you've ever been, I know we spent heaps of time in Waikowhai Bay as well. And so two parts is that Waikowhai Bay is basically the northeastern tip of the Coromandel Peninsula. Thames Hospital is at the southern western fucking beginning of the Coromandel, and it's a fucker of a drive now. It would have been infinitely worse 30 odd years ago. And so that in itself is fucked. But the waterfall, it's not a waterfall that breaks into a pool per se. It breaks across collapsed rock, which had probably fallen out from underneath the waterfall. It's just basically one of those.
Oh.
It's not put it this way. It's not a fucking waterfall you want to fall off the top of. Put it that way.
Yeah, there was also a myth at the schools there as well, and there was the myth of the boy that fell off the waterfall, which I had no idea about until like 4 or 5 years ago. A girl goes, "You were the boy that fell off the waterfall?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And they go, "Everybody knows that story. Everyone thought it was bullshit and it was a myth." And I'm like, "No, that was me."
Look at my leg. A tree went through it.
So what was the recovery time? So lucky, man. That you would have been running on some fucking pretty high adrenaline, but your old boy would have been pulsing. He was full rally car driving it down.
Yeah, he was flying down, and I was like stretched out the back, and they were putting water on my lips, just trying to keep me like, conscious, and Mum was in the passenger seat, and the other boys were in the back trying to keep me awake. He was racing, and it was in a really terrible car too. Can't remember what car it was, but it was an awful car. Slow, sluggish.
Yeah.
But
Just wringing its neck.
ringing
What's the
it, yeah.
recovery like?
It was around about 6 months, just 6 months plus, yeah. And I was in a brace and, crutches, yeah. And so then that was the year that I started St. Peter's College.
And had music already found you at this point?
Yeah, I've been playing music since I was about 5. So
Wow.
I was doing, I used to go to piano accordion camp, very nerdy, but I did go to piano accordion camp.
Where the fuck do they happen?
I know, it's out the WAP, it's like a Christian kind of, community or Catholic community kind of centre. But so I did that, and then I was also doing tamburica, which is like a balalaika or almost like a mandolini kind of Croatian instrument. So I played that in the Delhi band, and I was doing a cappella singing for the Delhi Club as well. My mum was one of the teachers, so I'd been doing it for quite some time, but I hadn't got into the kind of rock scene yet. No.
Yes.
Do you remember that band that you heard that you're like, fuck, that's a bit of me. I might have to put down the piano accordion or maybe park this slightly.
It was definitely the Kinks and Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
So the Kinks were main catalyst for me when I heard Lola, and Waterloo Sunset. I was just like, this is a bit of me. And then, because in Wellington, I think I was about 13. This is just before the fall. I was listening to the Kinks and Black Sabbath with Tim Arnold. So Tim, I had just met as well prior to this fall. Yeah. So.
What did Bubba think of you listening to Black Sabbath? That would have fucking gone down pretty poorly. Or is she still around at this stage?
She was still around. Yeah. She didn't care too much of what I was listening to. She just cared about like the girls I was hanging out with or who I was hanging out with, and whether or not they, lived up to her standards.
The only podcast that has stories like these, not for radio.
Hello, Legend. We're just pausing the podcast for a moment to let you know that we have some great news.
Yes, Uber One is paying you to be a member.
Yep, if you're new to Uber One, you'll get $10 of Uber cash back each month you remain a member until the end of the year.
You'll also get access to loads of other additional savings and perks across Uber and Uber Eats, like a 5% Uber credit on all rides or $0 delivery fees on eligible orders.
How good. Sign up to Uber One for $9.99 a month and it will basically pay for itself. Ends 31st of December. T's and C's, minimum spend and fees apply.
That's pretty good, eh?
I just want to quickly touch on the acting. So you got into acting when you're like 10 or something. Like
11, yeah.
Yeah, how does that come about?
That was through the Delhi Club as well.
Okay.
So with the Delhi Club, so they were looking. So it was Morris G's Champion. It was a World War II story, and it's quite a classic story, and it's about a US billet that came obviously over to stay here because we all had the American GIs come over. I think it was in World War II. So and they worked on the roads, and especially at Ponsonby because it's all gridded and stuff like that. So they the story from Morris G was a champion. It was African American billet that was coming over to stay with a young boy who is quite a racist, and so I auditioned for the friend of Rex, who was a deli, and so they came to the deli club and they said, "We're looking for deli boys. Have you got any boys that would want to audition?" And I'd never done acting before. I did speech and drama, and they picked me out of the 1 out of 20 to go and do the audition. So I went to do the audition for the deli boy. Got a second call back, but they sent me a script for Rex, which was the lead role, and I hadn't learned the lines, and so I went back as the deli boy, and they said, no, we want you to audition for the lead. So I was like, well, I haven't learned those lines, and they got 15 minutes to go outside and learn them, and I was like, okay, sweet. So I went outside, and I had quite a good memory back then, and so I learned them pretty quickly, and I landed that lead role, and then the rest is history.
You got the lead role as a racist.
Yeah.
The irony.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and was that a similar time because you've always done modelling as well? Like,
yeah,
to start to cross over as well because you would have been probably the only one of your mates that was in that space, and there was actually cash in that space too.
Actually cash. Yeah, I was getting paid more than both my parents put together, which was ludicrous.
Yeah,
and it caused a little bit of controversy with my brothers, but it was just a very strange time because I was making so much coin. And I was so young as well. And then I wasn't doing modelling. I did modelling. I started modelling in London. But yeah, so at that time, the money was coming in. I finally could wear the clothes that I wanted to wear. I wasn't getting hand-me-downs, I get underwear hand-me-downs, all that kind of hand-me-down stuff.
Third time around undies, eh? There's been two other assholes through these.
That's exactly what's happening in my family right now because I've got 3 boys. And the youngest one, he doesn't know any different, but at some stage he will be like, you motherfucker never bought a new pair of undies for me. I'm like, I still got a bit of life in it.
Yeah, so I had 2 brothers, so 3 boys as well. Yeah. So I
crinkled elastic well, eh? Crinkled elastic well.
Yeah.
That lasagna elastic, that fucking curly and shit.
But yeah, so that was it was an interesting time for me. Like the freedom was good, and then I stopped kind of going to the deli club because I was like, you know what, I'm my own man. I can do what I want. I'm not going to go to the deli club anymore. And I think I was about 13 at the time. Yeah, just started surfing and playing music.
Everyone hits that age. It's amazing, even when you look back on it and you're like, everything was sweet, and then for whatever reason, I hit 13, and I'm like, I'm the fucking man of the house now. And you think you're so big. I've got kids, twin boys are 11, and I'm like, how? Like, they're such sweet boys. Like, my wife's been away for work in Sydney. The fucking greatest thing they can do, I was like, what do you want to do? Anything you want to do while mum's away. And they're like, we want to sleep in bed with you. Like, that's their biggest joy.
Awesome.
Like, they hold that in the highest regard. $100, nah, don't want the money. I'd rather just sleep in bed next to you. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome. And I'm like, how in the space of 2 years can you turn into such a fuckwit like I was? Like, I don't know how it's chronologically possible. Like, I reckon I wouldn't have been a bad kid at 11, but same thing at 13. And so
I think it might be the testosterone that's starting to come through.
Exactly. 400% testosterone boost in your body at around that age, which makes your brain spin out.
It does.
And so, what age are you? What age are you wrapping things up or looking north to go to spread your wings and go to London?
Around about like 16, I think. Like I had a pretty substantial surfing kind of. What I thought was a surfing career. Like I like not a career, but like almost a passion to become a surfer, and that was with Tim Arnold. So like we surfed a lot together and traveled the country surfing. And then
did you compete at that? Did you compete at all?
No.
Free surfed it, but
surfed it,
so you would have been the same era as the likes of Maz Quinn and Daniel Kiriopa and
I think
Bugsy Malone, those lads. Yeah.
So that was like a massive passion of ours, but also music was there, and Tim would always bring an acoustic guitar, and so that was kind of. That was the genesis of everything there, like where we decided we could actually start a band. I mean, we can write songs, and it was actually, remember the Honey Puffs are made to stay fresh, stay good all the time. We played that like one night. I think we were all stoned, and it was around a fire, and we played that, and we're like, "Fuck, this is great, isn't it?"
Man, this sounds so good.
So it was a Honey Puff song, and then we're like, "Yeah, we can do this," and then we started writing songs they were terrible songs. I mean, you have to write terrible songs to begin with. You have to write thousands of terrible songs.
Yeah.
And we did that. And then so what happened was I was at school, St. Peter's. The bullying was still happening, but then I found a friend called Ryan Nortia, who's an incredible friend, who also then put me on to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu years and years later. He was in the first 15. I think he was a prop. I'm not too sure, but he was, popular. Had all the friends, and so I was still getting bullied. But then we became quite tight, him and I. And when he saw me getting bullied, this one time, this one kid like smashed into me and just did me in. And he grabbed him by the hair, dragged him across the rugby field, and just started like wailing on him.
Yes.
And said, "If you ever do that to my friend again, I'm gonna."
Yeah.
The rest, and no one touched me after that. So
Amazing.
yeah, and then I left school at the worst time. I could have stayed for that great popular year where all the parties were at. Ryan always he brings it up and tells me what I missed out on. It's like, of course.
I reckon you probably did okay in the
I
years
did okay.
preceding. Yeah.
I did okay. But yeah, so I left school early, and then Tim and Matt Ingold, they came up to go to SAE, and so I started studying at SAE. So I went to SAE at 16, and that's when the thoughts came into me that I really wanted to go and leave the country and try and become a poet or a singer-songwriter. So yeah.
And so, why London? And what were the expectations that you had of moving to London? And did you have a plan?
No plan whatsoever. No,
Yes.
no plan at all. So we finished SAE, and we had a group that we were playing in briefly, like with Tim and a couple of our mates, and we were recording songs at SAE. And so we recorded some cool songs. We thought they were really good, and but I was like, you know what? I really want to leave this country and try and find something deeper, more meaningful, and just more exciting, and just try and search out something that would I don't know, help me, because I just thought I needed help mentally. And so I decided to go to London because my brother Tony was living there at the time. And so I left with his best friend Monica, and we got on a flight from New Zealand on JAL. So it was one of the last flights where you could smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
So we're in the back in the cigarette in the smoking section, just smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol. And I think I was 17, about to turn 18. And fled to London, and I left Tim. I left everyone behind. So yeah.
What was you mentioned them? What was going on? Is it just the teenage angst, or was there something a little bit deeper? Because there's even in the conversation we've had, there's been a fucking traumatic head injury to begin with, like from falling off the waterfall, and the expectations, and then probably the separation from culture and family and continual bullying, and sometimes it's easier just to clean the slate and just be whoever you can make up whoever the fuck you want to be in London, which is what generally happens when you turn up in London. Everyone's like, "What are you doing?" You go, "Writing a better script right now, baby. Let's go."
Precisely. I just wanted to disappear. I wanted to vanish, and you could easily vanish, as you say, in London. So I was, and I had the acting, and people knew me here, and I just wanted to separate myself from being an actor. So at 17 I quit acting, and Robert Bruce was upset with me, but I was like, I'm done with acting because I'm sick of people writing stuff that I don't want to say. So I want to write my own script, as you say. And so I'd gone through quite a bit of other trauma as well. Like I witnessed a young woman get hit by a car and die in front of me when I was 12, and that was at the deli club. So I would like venture out from the deli club and kind of like without kind of being allowed to leave the club, I would just kind of run out and go up to Cheapskates, so on Cheapskate Simon Street, and I'm walking down Cheapskates, and then I hear this screech and a bang, and see this girl flying, this young blonde girl, she's flying in the air, and then right in front of me, a crack, and on the pavement, and then I'm looking down, and then her mouth opens up, go thoop, and go, and all the blood comes out, so she's dead in front of me, and then I think a friend was running across the street, just going screaming. It may have been a sister, and then all the cops turned up, and then in Cheapskates is the guy that hit her, and he's just huddled in the seat, crouched down. And I didn't tell anyone for years, just holding on to this because I was afraid that I was going to get in trouble
for leaving the deli club.
The deli club. So there's these kind of things that and the noise in my head, and the bullying, and I mean everything that happened from being a child actor or a child star, dare I say it. It was too much pressure for me to be in the country anymore. So I just wanted to, reinvent myself.
Because it must be like when you, I don't know, because you probably didn't come from any massive amount of wealth. You saw hardworking parents that just basically, you never got the flashiest stuff, and you probably had a school where no one had flash shit, and there's no such thing as an overseas holiday and all those other bits and pieces. The weird part, and I remember it where I passed my parents' earning, and it was like early 20s, and I was like, I'm never going to earn more than my parents. My parents are farmers and successful and had great careers and whatever, and I was like, past them, and I'm like fucking throwing money around like, well, this fucking loose. And that creates a weird relationship with them, and when you start leaning over to pay for shit, and they're like, hang on a second, like, you're not doing that. You're doing that in your fucking early teens.
Yeah, so I had a fuck ton of money when I left for London. And
which is the worst thing that can happen to
It was the absolute worst thing for me. I landed in London, got to Queen's Park, went to the flat because the flat was already set up. There's my brother, Manuk, and I move into the flat. And then immediately on that evening, who comes over is this guy, like one of those fire poi, like fire, you know.
Someone from Nelson.
Yeah. a neon hippie on a bike, And then out comes this brown satchel, and he just opens it up on the table, and because I mean, I had already been experimenting and stuff, obviously, just and altered states for me was something that I was really kind of fascinated with and wanted to go down and go down that rabbit hole. And so when he just opened up the satchel, and it was every single narcotic you could imagine, all there just to purchase.
So what was? I mean, in New Zealand, we generally start sneaking drinks early doors, and we start getting drunk. There's readily available cannabis because you're either growing it your own or you're ripping someone else's off, or you can buy it pretty cheaply at the pub or whatever it is. Mushrooms have always been around. LSD's always been around. 70s were massive for heroin, but then it wasn't so prolific.
No.
Nobody had the money for cocaine.
No.
Cocaine in New Zealand then was like $600 a gram or something. That was the equivalent of a week's wages. So there wasn't really anything else. And it's the same thing when Kiwis go to the UK and you've got the pizza delivery. I mean, fucking vividly when I went to see my sister there, and she's like, do you want a pizza with the works? And it was like, a fuck dude turns up and it's pizza with bags of cocaine in it, and it was like $100. And I was like, holy fuck, this is amazing. But it is, you get overexcited, which means you get drawn into it faster than probably what anyone else would do. So what are you reaching? What are you grabbing out of the brown bag?
You're in Willy Wonka's shop
fucking
right now.
Noah's Ark, baby, 2 of everything. Fucking let's go.
Pretty much, it was just it was ecstasy, speed, and opium, and obviously weed. And coke, and all of those, whatever he had, I would take it. I mean, I wouldn't take the crack, but that wasn't really my bag. So it was the opium, speed, ecstasy, coke.
What? And this is, I mean, we're gonna jump forward to it just because I'm fascinated by it, and I've never done it, so this is why I find it fascinating. That first moment when you tie off your arm, and you batch up. And you blast. And do you remember where you were when that happened? Do you remember what the thoughts were going through your head? Do you remember who was around you? Because that process is not an easy one to, it's not like I'll fucking figure out how to roll a joint. It's like there's a bit that goes into it.
There is. And I'd been looking for it for a while for the action, because it was just opium beforehand. And I had located some because we went to Croatia, and it was just that was like kind of just at the end of the civil war, so there was still some pockets of fighting, and we were in Zagreb, and my brother had these leather-clad kind of boyfriends, and they were very, very young, and so they had some heroin there, but I didn't blast it at that moment, so I had it there, but that was just through the nose, and that was with all these young fellas. Because that's my first taste.
So explaining the difference in between it as well, because a lot of people just think that it is a tie-up and a blasting, but most people go, put it in your nose. Heaps of other people smoke it on cigarettes, it dips.
Or chasing the dragon on foil.
And then or like freebasing it out or whatever it was. But it's because a lot of people go, how the fuck do you just get from like, hey, I don't mind doing a couple of stripes of cocaine to like just.
Well, that's what our parents would think, right? You have one joint and then you're shooting up.
That's what everyone.
No, that's
train spotting. Let's go.
That's not the case. I mean, for me, I had an incredible kind of fascination with it because of William S. Burroughs, because I was reading William S. Burroughs, and then there was also the French poets like Baudelaire, Rimbaud, Flowers of Evil by Baudelaire, and all these kind of books that I was reading, and Herbert Hunk, who wrote. So the Herbert Hunk had a book and memoirs, and Herbert Hunk was the junkie that William S. Burroughs based Junkie on, and so I was fully immersed in this kind of world, which I thought was a world that I wanted to visit, and also obviously Lane Staley, Velvet Underground, Alice in Chains and Mad Season. And Lane Staley was one of my absolute heroes at the time. And obviously, I got the wrong message. He was saying, "Don't do these drugs" in the songs, but like everyone got the message, "Do these drugs."
Do these
drugs. And I had that message, and so I was out there looking and searching for the drug. And so I was in Camden. So my first blast, getting back to what you were saying, my first actual tie-up and blast was in Camden, and I met a guy on the bus, and I was with my first wife at the time, who wasn't my wife at that point, and we got a bus ride, and I found a guy at a bar called the Purple Turtle. I think it was the Purple Turtle, and it was in Camden.
Is it right next to the locks?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the one, and that's like Russell Brand's favourite bar that he would go to, the Purple Turtle, because MTV offices were there, so we'd go there quite a bit too.
Right.
Opposite the markets.
I think so. I mean, it was the 90s, so I honestly my recollection is
Fucking
very
wild.
very hazy.
Yeah.
So I met this Spanish guy called Max, and then I was like, "Can you find me heroin?" And because I was very prolific and proficient at locating narcotics, that was my special skill.
Your superpower.
So I located him, found him, and he took me back to his pad. He bought the drugs. He got the fits, and then and he tied me up, and he taught me how to do it. And I remember it clear as day. I remember the kitchen. I remember my wife holding my hand. My first wife holding my hand, and then it happening, and it was just it was the most insane experience of my life. Like for me, I felt like I had just landed, in heaven. It was like the most beautiful thing for me, thinking that, oh my God, this is what I've always wanted. I want to be shut off. I want to feel warm. I don't want to feel the cold. I don't want to be afraid. I don't want all that noise anymore, and it just kind of cleared it. It was like a clean slate for me, and then I was like, yeah, this is it.
I've had it explained, like somebody feels like you land in your own body and you fill it out, and it feels like you're finally
there.
Yeah, it feels like you've gone from just being the robot operator to that, and then that's the only one time that you'll feel that.
Yeah, and then you're chasing
And
forever.
never ever feel that again.
So what do the following few months look like when you're like, this is new, I'll keep trying to get that again?
Yeah, it was more of a chip. Like I thought I could keep it under control, so I was only doing it like twice a week, on the weekends, and thinking that I can keep it under control. Obviously, there were other party drugs involved as well, but like I thought I had it under control. And then it just eventually just starts spiraling. It goes from Friday to Saturday, then to Sunday, then to Monday, then to Tuesday. And then it's all on. It's just all you can think about, all you want, all you need, like you don't actually need anything more. Like all the kind of like all the joys of life get sucked out because the only joy you're experiencing is from the drug. And so it just consumes you entirely, and you become, a vacuous kind of soul.
So, what's the half-life on it? Like if you shoot up, then how long before you at the peak are you going back for more?
It would last a fair amount of time. Like I'd say 6 hours at least. You can do 12 hours. If you could really kind of mitigate the addiction. Like I had the ability to kind of like pace it out so that it would last longer, and so that I didn't get the itch and I didn't get the withdrawals too fast. But then the taste, you get more and more of a taste, and you need more and more and more to get to that feeling again. So you just start consuming more, you start spending more, you start needing to find money more. And
How long did it take you to blitz all your cash that you brought over?
Oh, that was like 5 months.
So what are you doing after that at that point?
I started working at Seattle Coffee Company, which was before Starbucks. So it was the original Starbucks before Starbucks happened. So Seattle Coffee Company, I became a barista. That was a very interesting time too.
Did you spell people's names wrong on purpose just to fuck with them?
You started it. You started it.
Yeah, that was a pretty funny time. Yeah. But we were clubbing
I feel
as
like
well.
something else. Is there something else there? I feel like you're like alluding to something. There's something that's twinkling in the.
Oh, it was because we used to do party drugs as well and go to clubs, and so like Tim and I one night, Seattle Coffee Company. I was going to work at 6 a.m, hadn't slept. We'd been on the pills all night, and then I get to work. He's sitting there asleep inside the corner, and I'm working. And honestly, everybody, it's like those. Paper figurines, and everybody was just like this floaty paper, and like I was like going, what the and making coffees for people that were paper. It was so bizarre, right? That was a little memory I just got then. Yeah.
And at what stage, how long did that phase of your life last before you're like, I need to cut the shit? Had you come back to New Zealand by the time you decided to cut the shit? Or
no, coming back to New Zealand was when I kind of went cold turkey. So
yeah,
I was married, and I'd been there for nearly 4 years, and so I'd been addicted for probably three years, and at the time, and so my ex-partner Faye, she was quite into it, and then something happened in our relationship where I found a avenue or an escape route to get away, and she didn't want to make a change, and I really wanted to make a change. I think I was 21 at the time, 21 going on 22, and I just didn't want to be there anymore. We had a house. Her family was quite well off, so she was like a Trustafarian. And so we had unlimited cash, and we had a house in Greenwich. So it was
dangerous.
Wow.
Yeah, it was super dangerous. And then also the drugs started getting more kind of eclectic and more broad, and they were getting worse. And it was constant. My brother was trying to create interventions, and I just wasn't buying it. And it took me to see her in such a state that I was like, I'm done. I'm going to go back home and celebrate my Bubba's 90th birthday. And so I bailed. It was 1999, and bailed to New Zealand. And then I left her. I was like, I'm done. I'm not coming back. It's over.
Is she still around?
She's still
tidied
still
up.
I think so. Yeah. She lives in Barcelona. Yeah, she's good. Yeah. I saw her briefly when I was touring with Beck Runga. And she's all good. Yeah.
So was Pluto in action in the UK before you came back, or was Pluto?
Yeah. So Tim came over after about a year of me being in the UK, because I kept on calling out saying, "Gotta come here, man."
He's calling him smacked on gear. This is amazing. People made out of paper. You're gonna fucking love it.
So he came over after a year, and we formed a group then, and we called it Johnny Custard. Terrible name. Terrible name. And so Masato Matsunanga, we called him Mark. He was a Japanese bass player that was with us at SAE, studied with us at SAE. We got him over from Tokyo, and then Paul Burnell, who was our drummer at the time, also from SAE. We got him over from NZ. We formed a group in London. We recorded a demo on tape, and we went out on the road, bought a bus, got onto the ferry, went to Europe, drove around Europe, booking shows. And so we booked all these shows. It's gonna be fantastic. The bus was an absolute nightmare, breaking down all the time. It was just cursed from the start. We were going all the way through. So our first gig, I think, was in Berlin on Friday the 13th that we'd booked, and we'd booked all these shows.
Once again, fucking hell.
Crazy, yeah. So we're driving around, and then we're like going down into Munich, into southern Bavaria, and I was like, I've been there before, and I'm like, let's not go to Bavaria. I'm telling you, it's bad vibes. We're gonna get screwed over. And it was like, nah, it's gonna be fine. Good vibes, all good. And we're driving in straight, going into the Circle Road in Munich, and it's like out of a movie, in a little V-dub little van, a green and white police van, and a halt sign going, halt, halt, halt. And I'm looking out going, I fucking told you guys, eh? And then we got pulled over, and they said, nah, this is very, very bad. You must pay 1,000 marks, and you can't drive this bus anymore, because it was registered as a car, and we thought, so we could we could drive it, registered as a car, but it was 9 tons. So we weren't allowed to drive it.
9-ton car.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
so good.
Yeah, so that bus got impounded in Munich. We weren't allowed to drive it. Tour was over. Tim was taken to a bank machine by these crooked cops. And they said, okay, no, they were trying to pin in how much money for him to take out. So he had to pay all this money, lost the bus. We were showering in the rain, busking on the streets. And then eventually, obviously, the band disbanded. And then Tim and I went back with our tails between our legs back to London, and then the other boys just bailed as well. So that was our first attempt. And then back in London, we decided I'd play drums, me, and we'd just work as a duo. And that was kind of the beginning of Pluto. So that was still in London, and we were writing lots of great songs. And then eventually, obviously, I left London, came back home, and so did Tim. Tim left just before me, and then. Back here, 99, that's when we recorded the first Pluto record.
Yeah.
Red Light Syndrome. Now, there's a funny little thing around that, because you guys record that and then it gets released, and then you basically spend 18 months battling to get out of your contract with them.
Yep.
And almost by default, the band has a hiatus.
Yep.
Like, what a fucking nightmare.
That was a nightmare, yeah. And I remember all the lawyers and meetings we had to get out of the contract. And luckily, EMI came to the rescue and bought it out, and bought the record out, bought us out, and then put us on their roster. So that was great of them, and it was also quite special to be part of EMI, you know, even though it's gone now, but at the time it was magical.
A monster.
It was a monster, you know. Pink Floyd, it was like, you know, all of our heroes were on that label, so yeah, it was a dream come true.
Who did they end up getting absorbed by? Did they get Warner?
I think
Was it
so.
Warner that soaked them up? Or did everyone that was at EMI go to Warner eventually? It was like the A&R team.
Because what happened to EMI, like they had that, the office, what was it, up there by K Road? Up
Yeah.
in the top,
Yeah, I remember going to that one.
Big
Yeah, it was
you know,
sick.
Morgan
Cool.
was there, and
Yeah.
it was fucking such a, every Friday we'd go there for beers, and it was just fantastic.
Looking over all of Auckland City,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was like- but
the
there was
Eagle's
also-
Nest.
There was a real, and that was when I first moved to Auckland, and MTV was on K Road, and so
Yeah.
that was sort of the
hub, almost.
Yeah, and it was like what was it? Fucking Rising, was it the Rising Sun?
Son, I think.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
The-
just
the
on the
venue.
Yeah, and there
Yes.
was like, and there was heaps. There was like, you guys. There was like Kosher Cot Honeys.
Yeah.
the-
Motorcade was-
Motorcade
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
they, like it was just a and that was kind of, and there was Fashion Week was in full swing. There's 4 or 5 different magazines that were in full swing as well. Like it was a real real cultural
it was a
epicenter at
vibe.
that time.
It was a
yeah.
really good vibe, you know. It was a really enjoyable period for us.
Geez, they got you on at the right time, didn't they? Because
They did, yeah.
you guys released the second album, Pipeline Under the Ocean.
Yep.
Which just goes fucking berserk.
Yeah, that was fantastic because we found the right band as well. So with Mike and Matthias, you know, like.
So you're Mike Hall, who's New Zealand's sexiest granddad.
Is he? He
Unofficially called him
deserves that
gay, but he is
moniker.
a-
Like, he deserves it.
He's a
He's
sexy
well
man.
deserved. Well deserved.
The
Yeah.
Rolls voice and New Zealand's sexiest granddad, as he's referred to.
I'm gonna see him soon, so I'll tell him.
Yeah, he hates
already
it.
knows.
He hates it. Yeah, we've told him that. Yeah, and like you guys, that was a tight setup, and
It was.
and the music was just fucking money.
Yeah.
And then did you want to? New Zealand was small fish. You guys are a very big fish in a very small pond. Set your sights wide again.
We did, we tried. You know, we tried very hard to get across to Australia and to London, and we did quite a few tours over there. Did South by Southwest, you know, and I was playing for I was playing drums, session drumming for quite a few people, and it was a very, very like visceral and exciting time, and we thought things were going to pop off, and going to London was fantastic, played some great shows. Barfly show was, you know, like a seminal show for us, and we did get a song onto college radio, and we got it into clubs as well, but we had no idea we had done this, because normally you go do that first one, you come back, and then you go back and you revisit it, and then the songs are out there. But we didn't do that because we thought, we'd wasted all this money. It didn't quite work.
So is that at CMJ Music Fest where you went over to the States and did that one? Yeah.
Yeah.
So CMJ Music Fest, to explain it, so back in the days, like pop radio became pop radio because you go to CMJ Music Fest, it's College Music Journal Festival.
Yep.
And so you'd turn up and you'd play. There'd be 4,000 bands that would play.
Yep.
Like, we went there, it was like Foo Fighters started there. Like obviously they had notoriety, but anyone would play there, and these 17, 18-year-olds that were at universities would turn up, see these bands and go, oh man, I really like Pluto. Okay, cool. And they'd take them back to the universities and play them on campus. And then that's how you would, so that was the epicenter of music. And then it would go to, once it got enough sort of traction there, then it would be played in CHR radio. And then it would become, you get funding, and then MTV would take you on a fucking music video tour or play your music video. And that was how the cycle used to go.
Yeah.
But it was almost at that stage where
It was starting to.
MySpace was starting to fucking
started
creep
Peter
in,
up.
and there was a Facebook
Streaming
was starting.
started coming in. So we were just a little bit unlucky that was the cusp of the streaming,
What was
phenomenon.
the guy's name? Moose, that used to run it. This big fucking massive dude from New York who used to run CMJ.
CMJ.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really exciting and it was really fun, and we had a great time doing it, and we had a great time in London and Australia, and it just obviously it was like wrong place, not wrong place. So it was the wrong time for us. The timing was off, so we just didn't really generate that kind of following, and then we did the third record, and obviously album sales weren't going so well anymore, and EMI also was clinging on to album sales. They weren't going for that streaming platform. So it was kind of archaic, and then they obviously went offshore, and there was no more office, and then it all dissolved. And then after the third record, everything kind of dissolved for us in a sense. We were working on a fourth record, but the energy wasn't there anymore. I relapsed again, and so that was a problem, and suffering quite internally as a band as well. Like my relationships obviously ended up suffering from that, and but that was, so when I came back in '99 and did the first record, Pipeline of the Ocean, I was clean for quite a few many years, and but then I started playing drums for some other people that I won't mention because I don't want to bring them into this conversation, but when I'd travel with them, I would visit places that I could procure, because you couldn't get it in New Zealand, so I'd call it like a heroin holiday. So I'd go on a tour, get high, play my gigs, come back.
Is it easy to play when you're on? Is it?
I thought it was.
I mean, I just always think like, bang down, and you're like, oh yeah, fucking this is that. But then there's an energy off the back of it, eh?
Yeah, there is. There is an energy off the back of it, and then also there's a combination you can achieve with other substances that can kind of lift your spirits. So I thought I was playing well. Just like back in London, when I was a dishwasher, and I'm harking back, but I was on a lot of speed, and I thought I was the fastest dishwasher in town. I'm the best dishwasher. Little did I know that I was one of the slowest guys working there, high as a kite, going. And I lost my job to a dishwashing machine. So, but yeah,
again, the timing wasn't right.
The timing wasn't right, exactly. But so I thought I was playing well, and maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. Who knows? I don't know. It's so long ago. But the problem with me was I was putting myself in risky positions. So I'd be going down to King's Cross, trying to score, and eventually I got mugged. I'd been mugged in London multiple times at knife point and strangled, and that was awesome time. But so then I eventually got mugged in King's Cross trying to score, and that was at needle and knife point, and chased. And I was running back to Tim, who was by the bank machine. I said, "We gotta get out of here, man." He's like, "What?" I said, "Get in the cab." So it was quite funny. This guy was chasing me, calling my name. He was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Fuck you, man. I just gave you all my money. Fuck off." And he just kept on chasing me. Anyway, so I got in the car, got back to the hotel, and there was another big intervention from the entire crew. And then I lost my job, which was a great job. So I lost that drumming job. So from then on in, it all hit again, and then I located stuff in New Zealand, which was also a very, very, very bad thing to happen, because I located someone that could procure in New Zealand, and then it just kicked off again.
Yeah, because a lot of people still think there's like people are surprised with the number of drugs that comes through this country. Like we are the most expensive place and we're also a midpoint for a whole bunch of other places. So it makes sense that it's here. It's not normally consumed here at that rate because we don't have the cash.
No.
But it's normally a like a through point.
Yeah.
But yeah, once they figure out that there's an appetite for it here, then there is small pockets of the community.
Yep.
And heroin was here. Oh, Mr. Asia, like he had that shit running through here like in the 70s.
Yeah,
and
Terry Sinclair and Marty Johnson, yeah.
all those guys. And
I
not
was connected. I was connected to the guys that knew those cats when
Wow.
when they were dealing weed, and then obviously that was in the 70s and 80s, yeah. And so then these guys that obviously became old school junkies, and that's who I kind of got introduced to through another drummer. Won't mention his name, but another older drummer, yeah. So who was buying pills from this guy, and then this guy also had everything else, and so he became my closest.
Yeah, because I remember this was, it would be, man, it must be 20 odd years ago. It must have been like real early 2000s, and that's why in the beginning I said, so you used to, there was Stolen Girlfriends Club was just up and running, you were playing shows with Motorcade, and I got so hammered I just pissed myself. Like I got so fizzed up.
Did you get home or you pushed yourself at the gig?
No, I'd get home, and
Oh,
I knew, like as soon as I knew,
okay
because you guys played together a lot. There was like
We did, yeah,
Motorcade. So it was like my night out. Whenever the fucking stars aligned and Pluto and Motorcade were playing, I was like, this is gonna be a fucking monstrous night.
It was
and
good.
I'm 3 from 3. Fucking 3 times seeing you,
amazing.
3 times pissing in bed. Like it was wild. And I told the Motorcade boys that as well. And they're like, I don't know why you're fucking telling them that. And I was like, when a dog comes home and you haven't seen it for ages and it just fucking jitters and just goes and pisses. That's what I was like. Like a fucking revved up Labrador puppy and just over rev every single time. But it was such an epic time in life. And then I heard that things were, the band was kind of, parting ways and that you'd relapse. And I was like, man, it's fucking devastating. But always followed, because I've always known people that have known you, sort of, that have been in and around you.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I hear is like, you're just doing fucking, what do they say? He's doing unwanted stretching on other men. Like you're just starting to fold people into knots doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
So you come clean and you start really, really, really digging into this. It's like an addictive personality thing anyway. Like you replace one with the other and you don't get good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu unless you're doing it multiple times a week.
Yeah.
It's not a turn up to training on Tuesdays and fucking go and play a game on Saturday and have a few beers. It is discipline, and it is every single day, and you need to be there to get to where you are, and you get to black belt relatively quick in a good gym.
Yep. At one of the top gyms in the country. Yep. At Tukaha, and Pedro is my coach. So yeah.
And what a fucking bloke he is.
He's a lovely man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Deadly.
I got my black belt from Pedro, which was such an honor. So yeah, I mean I was obsessed with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, I was obsessed with Jiu-Jitsu, like full stop. Like I actually started in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and that was when I came back from LA. And so I was cleaning myself out of that toxic environment. So and found Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. Did that for about 3 years, and then Ryan Nordia, my old friend, bumped into him, and he was a brown belt at the time. He said, "You got to come try out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu." And I was like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah, you got to come." And so
he was rolling at Tukaha as well.
No, he was at Oliver's, but I think he had left at the time, and then he took me to Gareth Ely, who was a affiliate of Tukaha, who's a fantastic coach as well. So I started training with Gareth and Ryan, and then I was also training at HQ. So I was training like 2 to 3 times a day, seven days a week. Like I was that obsessed, like morning, lunch, evening. And it was like 7 days a week. I had the time, and I had the money to do it, and so that's what I wanted to do, and I was just obsessed. So I was competing as well, wanted to compete. I wanted to see if that would make me any better, and obviously it does, and competing is one of the best ways to increase the speed of your journey. And it's a fascinating sport for me. I find it, like I was speaking to someone else the other day about it. It's like, for me, human chess. It's being able to problem solve under pressure. If you've got someone that's much bigger than you on top of you, balls in your face, and you just don't want them there. So you figure out a really smooth and almost like unenergetic way of escaping that position.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about it. I love the problem solving under pressure. Yeah.
And I think there is also a lot of stigma in and around it. It's like, oh, fucking Joe Rogan does it, so everyone's at the fucking University of Joe Rogan. It's like, what? is it necessarily a bad thing if you are doing something with your body, particularly when you hit your 40s and your friend group shrinks and you can't play sports like rugby anymore, and it's much gentler on the body yet? And I think the other thing is that when you go into those situations that, you know, if you go into a boxing gym, for example, you walk in there and they'll beat the fuck out of you. Like, they love it. Kickboxing, beat the fuck out of you, Muay Thai, whatever it is. If you go into a Jits gym, they're so, if you go hard, you'll fucking find resistance. But if, for the most part, they will help you. Pedro, because my kids went to Tukaha.
Nice.
I've seen them, and like how awesome and nurturing it is. And
yeah, and they are. That's why it's called the gentle art. They are gentle with you. If you're there and you're frightened, you don't have to be, because they're going to treat you with respect. They're not going to injure you. It's all about keeping, like looking after your training partner. Whereas obviously at striking gyms, there's all about like destroying your partner.
Smash them in the fucking face.
Okay, with their face in.
Hey, we're getting the wrap up. The reason that, I guess the ultimate reason why we got you in was to catch up. We spoke about the music, and the music is coming back, and it is coming back in wax form with added extras that have never been doused upon.
Yeah, so there's a double vinyl coming out. So Pipeline of the Ocean is obviously 20 years old this year, and so
that ages me.
I know, it's crazy. I feel very old myself, but it was too long for one single vinyl, so we had to make a double vinyl, and then we had to have additional songs because there was a second vinyl. So we found 5 unreleased. There's actually 10 unreleased tracks, but 5 unreleased tracks that are on side D that were recorded at the same time. So there was a couple of sessions: first session, second session of the recording of that album, and the 5 tracks from the first session. So we'll be releasing a single from those 5 extra tracks. And then the vinyls, I think the pre-sales are already up, so you can get that from JB Hi-Fi or Holiday Records. And we're doing a gig on November 8th at Double Whammy. So,
sick.
Yeah,
Great.
So tickets are on under
Jay's going to go there and then piss himself.
100%. I'm looking forward to pissing myself. I reckon this is worth getting Motorcade back together as well. I reckon bring the boys over from Sydney or Melbourne, wherever they're living. Man, that is exciting. Does this mean that because I know that the question will be asked, does this mean that there will be a tour? Or is this a one and done show?
It's a one-off show for this year. Absolutely, I think. Yeah. For the time being, until we can figure out how to kind of generate cohesiveness, because everyone's in different parts of the country, and everyone's got life admin and kids and family. So, but we will be touring next year.
Sick. Oh, that's so exciting.
It's exciting.
We're going to have to get you in for it, because we actually...
We've got way more to
so
ask
much
you too.
more.
Missed LA, eh?
Yeah, we missed a huge chapter in LA, which I was looking at the time, I was like, oh, you've got to get back to another practice and rehearsal.
Can we pick this up in the new year?
At some stage, or maybe again before the November show, or...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, LA's even crazier.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a fucking cliffhanger, right?
Yeah.
It's super crazy. It's mental. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll leave you with that.
What a treat. Fuck, it's been great.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. You juggled
me,
so much to make it happen, and apologies for me being shambolic and shit with timings.
No need to apologise.
Stop standing.
Thank you for having me.
Fucking hell, mate. Oi, Jimmy, Barnesy, Benno, Tezza, Tomo, get over here. It's Smokos. Let's listen to Not For Radio.
Great list of shout-outs here. So,
if you want to chuck those in yourself.
How good's... there's a link in the description of this episode. How good's Milan? So we're going to have to get him in for episode 2. We'll try and do that next week, I believe, because there's a whole chapter of his life that went fucking pear-shaped when he was hanging out in LA. Had brushes with gangsters, celebrities, was running a pizzeria, worked on the door at a burlesque bar, and... Yeah, some pretty interesting chats come out of that. And I think he was full steam ahead with his addiction at that point too, which is it's so nice to see him out the other side.
Yeah.
And I want to get deeper into the Brazilian Ju Jitsu stuff as well. We were running out of time. He had to be out at a certain time. We were trying to squeeze it all in at the end there. So
he's practicing. So when I refer to the world's sexiest granddad, Mike Hall, He is probably 90% of all voiceover readings that you would hear on an advertisement in New Zealand. Like, he is lock, stock, the lot. He's a fucking musician mercenary. He travels around the world with a whole bunch of different bands. He's the nicest guy. He's a male model for like a whole bunch of fucking menswear brands. It's just disgusting how much of a nice guy he is too. It's fucked. Absolutely fucked. Like, every single good bit of everything just got fucking tipped into this bloke. And he's literally a granddad.
Well, that's why people like me and you are like we are. He got it
fuck-
all.
there's nothing
There wasn't much left. Thank you very much to Jim Beam. Embodies over 230 years of tradition, making every sip a taste of history. Best enjoyed together since 1795. Bringing you today's episode. This has been Not For Radio. We will be back tomorrow with an all-time great as far as we're concerned. We met him about 5 years ago. The bloke's name's Wobbles.
Yeah, I thought he was off his fucking head on every drug under the sun. Turns out he has cerebral palsy.
And there you go. A little bit different. And man, he has lived such a crazy life. And he's got a book out. I knocked the book out in 4 days flat. It was that good. It was such an amazing way to put a book together, but we'll get more into that in tomorrow's episode. In the meantime, have yourself a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you tomorrow on Not For Radio. Go well, go long.
And up the Kiwis this weekend!
Up the Kiwis.